When we were discussing the early caliphate that followed the death of the Prophet Muhammad, we mentioned that there was already tension between the Sunni Muslims, who represented at that time and at this time about 80% of the Muslim community, and the Shia community, or the community of Shi'i Muslims. And this obviously represents about 20% of the Muslim community at that time, and even to this time in history. We mentioned that especially surrounding the figure of Ali. Ali was the cousin and the son-in-law of the Prophet. And remember that the Shia believed that Ali was supposed to be the successor to the Prophet. There's actually a hadith, remember, a saying of the Prophet that is recognized by the Shia community, but not recognized by the Sunnis. And I want to read you that hadith. This is, again, a claim made by the Shia about a saying of the Prophet. At a certain point, the Prophet actually is said to have taken Ali's hand, and he says, "O people, hear my words, and let him who is present inform him who is absent. Any one of whom I am the master, Ali too is his master. O God, be a friend to those befriend him, a friend to those who befriend him, and an enemy to those who show hostility toward him. Support those who support him, and abandon those who desert him." So on the basis of that hadith and other pieces of evidence, the Shia believed that Ali was the rightful successor to the Prophet. But remember, he wasn't chosen until it was time for the fourth caliph to be selected. So there was a lot of tension. And I told you that under those four first caliphs, even though there was tension, there was still unity among the Muslims in the Muslim world. But with the death of Ali, we will see an eventual break between the Sunni and the Shia that will create two branches of the Islamic faith. So Ali has a couple of sons that are important to tell this story. The oldest is Hassan. So for the Shia, now that the caliphate was back in the family of the Prophet through the lineage of Ali, his cousin and son-in-law, where they felt that it was always supposed to be, the natural selection for the next leader of the Muslim world would be Ali's oldest son, Hassan. But remember, the Sunni didn't want to necessarily see this become a hereditary office of leadership. They still wanted certain individuals to be able to select the best person for the job. So Hassan has some rivals, and he eventually kind of gives up the caliphate to another individual from the Sunni side, perhaps in order to ease the tension that was brewing between the Sunni and the Shia. When Hassan dies, his younger brother, Ali's younger son, whose name is Husayn, becomes the most important figure for the Shia community. And it seems that Husayn did not agree with his big brother's decision to relinquish the caliphate. Husayn believed very fervently that the Prophet had made clear that the leader of the Muslim world should be from his bloodline through his cousin and son-in-law Ali. Therefore, Husayn decided to actually prepare to fight for the caliphate. And as he was preparing to eventually lead a fight for the caliphate, his side was attacked, and in that battle, Husayn was killed. For the Shia community, Husayn is a martyr. He died for the truth, which is the truth that Muhammad wanted leadership of the Muslim world to be through Ali and forever after, down through the ages, in the lineage from Ali. So the martyrdom of Husayn becomes a really important event for the Shia, and it really does mark this final break between the Sunni and the Shia. At that point, the Shia are basically going to say, look, Sunnis, you follow whoever you want to follow because you keep following the wrong people. Yes, you followed Ali for a short time, but then you turned your back on the family of the Prophet. So you keep following your person. You can keep using that term of the caliph or the caliphate. We are going to follow the rightful leader of the Muslim world. And we are going to call that individual the Imam. So just as you have the Sunni caliph, you will have a Shia Imam. And for the Shia, Ali isn't necessarily the fourth caliph. First and foremost, he is the first Imam, because Imam is the word that the Shia are going to use to refer to the rightful leader of the Muslim world. And they believe that even though Abu Bakr, Umar, and Uthman were chosen as the caliphs of the early Muslim community, Ali was always supposed to be the leader following the death of the Prophet. Therefore, Ali is the first Imam. His oldest son, Hassan, is actually the rightful second Imam. Husayn is the rightful third Imam. And that line will follow through history, always from the lineage of Ali. And it becomes a hereditary lineage down to the current day for some Shia Muslims. I've typed on the screen here, Ashura. Ashura is the day that remembers the martyrdom of Husayn. So if you are a Shi'i Muslim, then Ashura is one of the most important days in the calendar, because it is to remember the death of Husayn, the martyr, who died for the truth of who Muhammad wanted to lead his community after his death. This is also a day that, especially in more recent times, but through much of history, sometimes there are Sunni groups, perhaps more extremist or radical groups, who use the day of Ashura to actually attack the Shia community. So we do have violence that sometimes creeps into the celebration of Ashura by the Shi'i community. So again, for the Shia, they are going to follow the Imam, and Ali is the first, and then they will continue through history. One thing that's a little confusing when talking about the Imam for the Shia is that the Sunni Muslims also use that term Imam. And I've kind of capitalized it here for the Shia and lowercased it for the Sunnis. Because for the Sunnis, there are all kinds of Imams, hundreds of thousands, millions of Imams. For Sunni Muslims, an Imam is simply the prayer leader at a local mosque, right? Maybe the equivalent of a priest or a rabbi or a pastor, the prayer leader at a local mosque. So for example, there is a mosque just up the road from me in Cedar Rapids. There is an Imam at that mosque, obviously a Sunni Imam. Nobody, no Muslim, Sunni or Shia, believe that that guy up in Cedar Rapids is the rightful leader of the entire Muslim world. No, he is simply the prayer leader at that mosque. And because Sunni Muslims represent about 80% of the worldwide Muslim population, when we hear the word Imam, we generally are hearing it from that Sunni perspective. And therefore, we are thinking of local prayer leaders at mosques. However, if you are in a Shia community, or if you are studying something specifically within Shi'ism, then when you see the word Imam, it is often referring to the one rightful leader of the Muslim world, recognized by the Shia. Obviously, originally you had all of the Shia on board with recognizing some of those first few Imams, starting with Ali. We will see in future videos that there will come to exist fragmentation within the Shia community, and there will be different lines from Ali that are followed by different portions of the Shia community, right? But again, only the Shia are going to believe in one Imam at a time as the rightful leader of the Muslim world. The Sunnis, for most of history, will continue to follow the Caliph in charge of the Caliphate, whereas the Shia follow the Imam, who holds the office of the Imamate. So again, this is where we see that radical break between the Sunni and Shia, all surrounding the death of Husayn, which is commemorated with the celebration of Ashura, where many Shia will travel to the spot where Husayn was killed. There will be reenactments, there will be teachings, etc. This is a very important moment, especially for the Shia, as they break away from the Sunni and continue to this day to be a minority within the worldwide Muslim population.